been filed by S1 before now.
Alright, so we are at OSUT training.
Yeah, it's okay. We've done that before.
Anyone else relating the mod areas now? I'm gonna have to recycle.
Alright.
Sorry, let's leave him out here for the initial orientation. We won't take him into the classroom since we got to break him up and everything. I'll do the briefing and then we'll go from there.
Instructional lose.
Yes?
If I have a mod error, am I still allowed to continue set day one, or should I recycle?
If you can make it Tuesday, that would be great, because we don't have time for mod errors.
User joined your channel.
And I do want to be able to work with each and one of you through those errors if you're having problems. And we just do not have time with this many people and running this far behind today, I'm afraid.
Roger that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sergeant.
If you make it on Tuesday, it'd be good to see you then, Private.
Private Merrick. What the same fuck is that on your face? After this day, you will fix that.
User left your channel.
Such a rush today, I didn't even have to put down my rifle. Is that correct? We have just 2 more soldiers finalizing their spotting in here.
Roger that. Sorry.
Right, Austin, we're running an update version of our test. From here on, you will now have to recycle into Tuesday's class. If you cannot do this, the next outlet box is until it's done.
Affirmative, Sergeant.
Sergeant Trimble hasn't quite made it that far yet. By the way, in Army speak, all sergeants, unless you're talking to a first sergeant or a command sergeant major, are sergeants.
Copy that.
Private Williams, are you put in?
User disconnected
yes,
from your channel.
Fall in line.
Private Williams still needs to load in.
What's the ETA on that, Private Williams?
I'm getting the loading add-ons right now. Let's say 2 minutes tops. Sorry.
So is that everybody then, other than those 2?
Private Con is still loading.
Alright, here's the deal. If by the time I'm done talking here in the introduction, if you're not loaded into this map, you will be recycled, understood? And the good news is it's probably going to take me about 10 minutes to get through your introduction, so you got some time. Alright?
Roger that, son.
Alright, but I don't want any interruptions or anything like that, so we can get through this, because again, we're way behind. I respect your time, respect the cadre's time. So we want to get through this to get you on to day 2, okay? So with that said, good morning, everyone. As I mentioned just a few moments ago, my name is Staff Sergeant Lewis. My primary billet here in the 506 is a squad leader for Havoc 2, that's Alpha Company, 1st Platoon, 2nd Squad. So I'm a blue-blooded infantryman by trade, both here and in real life. I have over 8 years experience with the California Army National Guard's 11 Bravo. My secondary billets here in the 506 is a senior OSUT instructor under S3 training. I run Class Bravo typically. And I'm also a part of the 4 mission development team responsible for developing and maintaining the training map. With me today is a myriad of array. I will start with the top. Captain Soto is our esteemed A-10 senior pilot, someone who I've grown to love and trust with my virtual life in many ways. So he is with us here today. Also with me is Staff Sergeant Beard. Staff Sergeant Beard, wouldn't mind introducing yourself quickly, please?
Hey, Boom. I'm Staff Sergeant Beard. I'm the squad leader of Havoc 3-3, which is 3rd platoon, 3rd squad. Member of the 506 for around 15 months, and in the real world, absolutely nil military experience. Everything I've gained through what the gentlemen in the cadre and others have given me through applying their own knowledge to my sorry ass.
Thank you, Sergeant. Behind me and to my right is Specialist Yogi, is one of our senior medics in 1st Platoon, and also someone I have grown to be close to and very fond of as well. To my right is Sergeant Turnbull. Sergeant Turnbull is an assistant OSUT instructor as his secondary billet, and I believe you are 2nd Platoon weapons, not mistaken, Sergeant? 3rd Platoon weapons. So he likes to carry the big guns. And then there's some ghost specialist Yogi that I don't even know how to address. So these will be the individuals helping you today. In addition, I believe the other OSUT assistant instructor, Sergeant Caldwell, is on his way in and will be assisting us today as well.
That's a firm sergeant.
So before we begin, and you may have gotten, I believe, a little bit of an introduction to this earlier as you first came in your big swarm of privates, we got to talk about buried demeanor throughout OSUT here. This is an Army military simulation unit, so we do our best, of course, without going overboard in maintaining the proper customs and courtesies that you would find within the United States Army. What that means is when you're addressing enlisted and non-commissioned officers, you will address them by their rank and or last name. Okay, and like I said, with sergeants, sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class, all that, you just can refer to us as sergeants. When you're addressing an officer, you address them by their rank and name as well, or you may address them with sir or ma'am to show respect depending on their gender. We also have warrant officers here in the 506 flying our helicopters and such, so if you encounter one, you can address them by sir or ma'am, Mr. or Mrs. I mean. Sorry, I'm getting feedback. It throws me off when I hear myself talk. And you can also address them by their rank and name as well. Now, with warrant officers, if they're a warrant officer 3 or above, you'll see a CW and a number. That's Chief Warrant Officer. You can refer to them as Chief. If we are standing around not doing anything or in a bit of an informal posture and a senior ranking NCO approaches us, just like in the Army, what someone needs to do is call at ease. That tells us that we have a senior NCO in our presence and that we need to shut up and give them our attention unless they tell us otherwise. In the same instance, if we're gaggling around or hanging or whatever, and an officer approaches us of a higher rank than one that is currently with us, someone needs to call the group to attention. Ideally, you'll want to use the size or whatever of the group. For example, you might hear me say, class, attention. Captain Soto arrived. That means I was smart enough to know that we're talking to a class and that we had a senior ranking officer in our presence. Again, you will buy it, and you'll wait for that officer to address us, whether it's carry on or they have something to tell us of importance. We're all ears. Everyone understand that and can deal with that, correct?
Yes, Sergeant.
Copy that.
Yes, sir.
I am a sergeant. I work for a
Yes,
living.
Sergeant.
Do not
Yes,
call me
Sergeant.
sir.
Roger, sir.
All right. I hope you do get into that and enjoy that. It's part of the role playing here. And initially, it may seem a little kind of front weird, but as you get into the unit, you'll learn that these customs and courtesies go a long way in developing our cohesion and our esprit de corps. Now, during OSUT, it's going to be a lot of information thrown at you. We do encourage you to ask questions, and if you have anything you want to add or a point that we missed or something like that that you think could add to the conversation, we encourage that as well, although there's a lot of you today, so I may not be quite as encouraging as it normally would with a smaller class, but in any event, we do want to ensure that you understand the materials, that you're grasping the subject, and that you complete the task. So if you have a question or a comment in side chat, which you'll access either through your comma or period, when it turns blue, type C, Charlie, or Q, Quebec. That'll indicate to us whether you have a question or a comment. There are instances where we will ask you if you have any questions or comments here in game, and at that point, a simple C or Q would go. Or if we're having a more one-on-one conversation, of course, you don't have to hit side chat. Just use your best judgment. Side chat's good if we're in the flow of conversation and you have something you want to throw out there. If there are pauses or something like that, then you say, Sergeant, I have a question. That is sufficient as well. Now, the agenda here for OSUT, there are 4 days. This is day 1 of 4. Today, we're going to focus on individual soldier skills. We take a building block approach. So as day 1, we focus on the individual. Day 2, we build upon that, focus on the team in the form of training on movement and maneuver. Day 3, we start the day with some basic navigation, map reading, terrain association. And then the rest of the day is spent working with vehicles. Lastly, on day 4 will be your practical exercise, as well as a short oral quiz. Each of you will be asked one question to ensure you comprehended and paid attention. So, by the way, if you have not done so already, you should have a notepad and pen handy. And I also could encourage you to have some water present as well and stay hydrated. It's going to take some time. Need you guys to be fit and feeling good. All right, and then all things going well between your practical exercise and your oral quiz, you will graduate, select your MOS. The goals of OSUT, it's known as one station unit training in the Army, and in that same sense, what this is a blend of U.S. Army basic combat training as well as 11 Bravo infantry training, albeit we do not have nearly as much time to cover all that as a real Army, so we'll be going through a lot of stuff very quickly. Ship shock question.
Sergeant, I heard that if there are not billets available for the MOS that you want to choose, you'll go in as an infantryman until there's a slot available. Is that correct?
That is not entirely correct, so we will cover that on day 4.
Yes, Sergeant.
That will be covered on day 4. Okay. So, like I said, we won't have time to go through quite as much as the Army does for its new soldiers and what have you, but our curriculum has been extremely streamlined, and any of you who do have any prior experience in the Army should be pleasantly surprised at how much we're able to cover in the short amount of time we have. The other thing, some other goals, first and foremost, every soldier is a rifleman, so it is our intention to ensure that you have those basic skill sets to be first and foremost a rifleman. The other goal is to instill the 5 basic individual infantry skills in all of you, which is shoot, move, communicate, survive, and sustain. So as long as I'm your instructor, you'll hear me making reference to that. Shoot, move, communicate, survive, and sustain. Those are the 5 key skill sets for an infantry soldier. And of course, we're going to give you the basic tactics that we use here in the 506. That's not to say that those tactics may not evolve based on your squad and how they train and how they fight, but it is designed to ensure that if you fill in or you transition to another squad or you're another MOS and want to go play infantryman for a little while, we all are playing off the same basic playbook and can integrate together and function together as well as adapt and survive together. today, what we're going to be covering, again, is individual soldier skills. So we're going to focus on your communications, how to program and communicate over your radio, introduce you to the basic characteristics of weapons organic to the light infantry, along with basic engagement techniques and engagement procedures for your rifles, as well as some basic munitions. Again, the goal is to communicate and shoot today. Without those two basic skills, we can't move on to the other days properly. Last thing, and I'm going to turn it back over to Sergeant Turnbull to get you broken down into some subclasses. We're going to give you some specific cadre. We're going to do a little different than normal. We're going to break you down and probably just have you working in small groups today on the communications and everything. So let me just say this before we do that. And what I'd like to do is share our leadership philosophy here at OSUT. And for us, leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. The S3 training staff's responsibility is to ensure every soldier is prepared to succeed, and that nothing is taken for granted, and every soldier is given the knowledge and skills to thrive in the unit. The 506 IR OSUT is a global brotherhood of like-minded people, many of whom either serve or are serving in the military. OSUT, then, is a place where taking responsibility for yourself and care of your brothers has significant meaning. And this is a place to build friendships, and if you choose to do so, develop yourself as a leader. Because we take our responsibility as NCO trainers seriously, the bar is kept very high here at OSUT. You will be instructed on specific procedures for performing tasks, and we expect everyone to follow the procedures as discussed and demonstrated by the numbers. Okay? If I give you a sequence 1 through 7 on how to do something, take notes and be prepared to follow that sequence 1 through 7. And not just during that first exercise, I might add, but throughout the duration of OSUT. Okay? A one-off is not good enough for me. That bar is going to be held high. It's going to be kept high while you're here. Understood?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Now, to help along with that, we're going to use an explain, demonstrate, and practice approach throughout the training. So, time permitting, every topic we cover, you'll get a chance to have us walk you through it, demonstrate it, and then we'll practice it again to ensure that you are good to go and we can get on to the next phase. All right, gentlemen, you ready?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
By the way, HUAs, I-firms, checks, all that are great too. Is Sergeant Brewer channel?
It does not appear to be, Sergeant.
Okay. All right, good news is your instructor and my boss is here, so he'll probably be taking over here shortly. But with that said, let's go ahead and just continue with the plan. Sergeant Turnbull, I guess use your best ability to get them kitted in rifleman loadouts and make sure they all have radios, vectors, the whole nine. And Cadre, if you can please assist Sergeant Turnbull in that process to help move this along, appreciate it. Sergeant Turnbull, class is yours. Did you hear him?
No, Sergeant Turnbull's currently muted.
Okay. Sergeant Turnbull, you were not coming in on that one. Stand by. Hold him here for a second. Actually, no. Okay, continue mission, Sergeant.
You just protect yourself until the end of that.
It's not wasting any time. Hey, class, at ease. Sorry, I'm getting a visual of my cues. As you were. Go ahead and take a minute, Sergeant.
But what's the follow-up?
Gave you the command to file, so you should all be in one nice long file, gentlemen. This is extra fun.
In case you don't know, file is
User
one
joined your
after the
channel.
other.
Welcome to the party, Sergeant Caldwell.
Sergeant Tugno.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat that? We heard Lewis over your voice.
You need to get a rifleman loadout from the vehicle ammo crate. And then from the other box, you need a pair of vectors and a radio. When you've got that, go and line yourselves up outside.
Harlem, you're
Someone's
missing an
got
AT4. Harlem,
Could
you're
you
missing.
repeat that, sir?
Rifleman loadout. It's not a rifleman.
Put. And also get an AT4, brother.
It's not hard. Vector 21's in radio and then get outside.
Oh, Vector 21? Sorry, I think
Afternoon, Sergeant.
You're right, brother.
Don't sweat it, Sergeant. Shit happens.
Alright, next 5 guys. Same again. Rifleman loadout. Radio,
Zero.
vectors.
Rifle.
When you get your shit, get outside.
How do I do that?
press 0, buddy. 0.
Yeah, 0.
I'll move it down the wall, move it down the wall.
That's how you holster and rifle.
These 2 fat fucks at the end, gotta tell them. It's not hard. All you gotta do, get a radio, get a pair of vectors, fuck up outside. Come on, Khaki.
Sergeant?
Yep.
I need to load out the RPG also.
Say that again. Try and cover.
How about?
Spend some time with this individual.
Sorry?
Spend some time with Khaki. Shit, I can't remember what he's saying. Next 5 guys, up to the vehicle ammo crate. Rifleman
Right,
loadout.
you got your AT4, but you lost your backpack, it looks like. Oh, never mind.
And use your gentleman man as well, Jordan.
Roger, sir. That's exciting.
Got your stuff?
Special
Get
kind of way.
outside.
Done.
I don't believe my radio went into my backpack when I picked it up.
Front turnbull.
So will it?
Because I'm gonna have to recycle.
What's the problem?
No, that explains it.
Alright, maybe one of your buddies will do you a favor and drop the loadout.
Yes, Sergeant.
Are we doing the basic rating?
Sorry, Sergeant. This is what they gave you on
Ooh,
my recruit day.
So the other crate, you need a pair of Vector 21s.
Hey, firm.
Copy that. Private Bradley.
Yes. Yes, Sergeant.
One of these things is not like the other in your loadout. Specifically something on your head.
Private Ramirez, press
you are,
I and drag
you
your
are
night
to
vision
grab a normal
in
helmet,
inventory.
no headset.
Ramirez, did you copy?
Fix it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It was me talking, not the sergeant.
Oh, sorry.
The PRC 152, Wesley? Green?
I've got to grab a radio.
Quick.
Sergeant, could I go fix my radio?
We have the wrong one.
Press 0.
And also your night vision goggles. Press I and drag it out. You'll see it on his head.
I don't.
I need one volunteer to help the brother out.
I'll volunteer.
Turnbull.
Right with me.
Oh, never mind. Landry.
Yes,
Well,
Detail, Sergeant.
Wesley.
Please do not
Shift
start
right.
squawking your radios.
You want the frequency set on 100, Sergeant?
Back row.
No.
Shift right
for all
one
that
spot.
moment,
Never mind.
I don't want any
Hold fast. Hold
think
fast.
about with anything yet other than you guys lined up.
Yes, Sergeant.
Wesley, move over a bit more so Cabildo can actually get in line. Cabildo.
52 radio. So all 52 radio.
Yes, Sergeant.
Rose, hold.
Private Rose, you're not Private Brennan Rose by chance, are you?
No.
Cabildo, move up in the spot behind me so we have 2 even rows.
Private Lead, haven't I seen you before?
Potentially, Staff Sergeant. I was in the 15th for a short while. You might have seen me around there. You were in it.
No, I'm not a former 15th guy. Actually came from the 7th Cavalry.
But I haven't been around here very long. I've been trolling around TeamSpeak before I finally got my PV1.
Copy. I think there was another Private Lead at one time. Might have taken over his name.
Cabildo, move up behind your mount so we have even rows.
That's Jermail, sir.
I'm not a sir, I'm a PV1 just like you, brother. Thank you for the Jermail, I hate to say it, I will probably butcher your name at this point.
Alright, Addie's last year in formation. Keyword you want to holster down.
It's in my bag.
I'm just trying to backpack open up.
Let's go ahead and fall into 2 lines here. The back there. Go ahead and just fall into the front on the right of the formation. You probably didn't hear me there in the back. Go ahead and just file into the front here on the right. We'll have 2 lines. Private. Well, how do you put your name? Jermel? Jermel?
You said it right the first, sir. Sorry, Sergeant.
Private Jermel, you're wearing, and several of you seem to be wearing.
Yes, Staff Sergeant. Beard made it to me that the vest that I have on is a Is
First
a
and foremost, stop talking. He is Sergeant Beard. Sergeant Beard only. Secondly, that was not given to you in recruit training. I'm the one that wrote the fucking recruit training document. That is not the vest that was to you. Get your ass in there, get the rifleman vest. Move.
Okay.
That was not the appropriate response to a sergeant first class.
Yes, Sergeant. In my defense, I walked up to them and I asked them if this was the right vest, and they said yes, sir. That's what
Understood.
they
Well,
gave
we're
me that day.
correcting that at East, soldier. So a couple things. What I was taught in the Army is instead of defending yourself, simply no excuse and correct it and get back in the line. Understood? Just make it happen, get back in.
Well, this seems realistic so far.
Is that everyone?
There appears to be one inside, Sergeant.
Copy. While we're waiting, what I would say is if any of you are having issues with loadouts, anything like that, leverage your brothers and get that squared away as quickly as possible. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Yes, Sergeant, I gave him the full day one introductory overview based
Private
on the
Ramirez.
checklist.
Yes, Sarge.
Class.
And swap
At
your
ease.
vest for Rifleman 1.
Sergeant.
All right, gentlemen.
You're currently wearing squad leader vest.
Those of you that do not know me have not heard of me. My name is Sergeant Brewer. I am the senior instructor for Class Alpha. Now, I understand that quite a few of you were having loadout issues, so on. How many of you have seen the student reference document that is in the Phase 1 and Phase 2 boards of the forums?
I've scanned over it, Sergeant.
Anybody happen to notice those?
Cool,
There you
Sergeant.
go. A couple of you. Pass
I've
along
seen it,
to the
Sergeant.
guys
Yes, Sergeant.
standing to your left and right. Those documents have every single loadout you're going to need for training written right in it. If your loadout is not correct, if it is somehow fumblefucked, go into that document, look at it, and rebuild your damn loadout on your own time. Does everybody understand this?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
All right. Now, very quickly, I know Sergeant Lewis already kind of gave you guys the rundown of what it is we do here, what we expect from you. As when it comes to myself, I have very, very high standards. I've been doing this job for a long time now. All right, you guys will very soon learn, if you have not already, I am an asshole. I will beat the shit out of you guys throughout this training for a very good reason. When you guys get done with OSUT, should you graduate, you get to your final billet, if you fuck up, and you get your team killed, or your squad killed, or so on, ultimately, that is not your fault. That is my fault for not properly training you and not holding you to my standards. Alright? So do not take any critiques or any mistakes or so on that we've been out personally. Alright? It is not a personal attack against you or
I'm
your
not supposed to
character
have that
or any shit
MK13
like
mag.
that.
I have these.
It is simply using out things that you need to work on. Okay? It is not a personal attack, it's your goddamn character. So do not get fucking butthurt because one of us yells at you.
Yes,
It
Sergeant.
is the job. Alright. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is going over some radio protocol, how to set up your radios and actually speak on them and so on. Chip shot.
I appear to have an MK13 mag in my backpack. Can I go ahead and put it in the crate?
Don't worry about it.
Copy that, sir. Or Sergeant.
Alright. What we're going to do, once I hand you over to Sergeant Lewis, guys into a classroom. Or move your asses in there, file in, get in a seat. We're going to be going over some lectures. At a point in time, during that lecture portion, guys, have a comment or a question, use the C or Q in chat like you just seen Shipshock doing. Do not interrupt myself or one of my instructors. Is that understood?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
All right. Sergeant Lewis, go and get their asses in there.
Sergeant Turnbull, front and center. Oh, he's AFK. He's kind of damn having. All right, class on my command. You'll fall in from the first line, then the second line in a file. Follow me.
User disconnected from your channel. User joined your channel.
Yes.
Forming in here, 4 deep, gentlemen.
Yes, we got violators. Hold on.
Go to the next row if this one's full.
Yeah. Down, Sergeant. Yes.
Go ahead and sit down now.
Exactly.
All right, you should have room in your backs to stow your helmet and your eyewear. Go ahead and do that.
Could you say again,
it's
Sergeant?
Not letting me sit.
You have to press the Windows key.
I did. It's not letting me interact with it for some reason.
It could be the chair. That's the way it was during phase 1 training when I was coming in.
What the? Okay.
Found your mail. The one of the
Yes.
chairs over on the wall.
Sergeant Lewis, could you repeat the last instruction?
Please take your headwear and your eye pro and stow it in your backpack.
It's not. Sorry to
Copy that,
interrupt.
Sergeant.
It's not. I've never
Why
had
don't
to
you just go stand in the back of the class so we can move on then. Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yes, Sergeant.
Okay, so as we've discussed prior, the first module for the class that will take place in the classroom. Good news is not all of instruction today will be like this. This is one of those classroom kind of moments. We're going to be covering communication. I like to let the assistants have their time to shine. So, Sergeant Caldwell, you want to take this portion? Lead it off.
User in your channel timed out.
Sorry, what?
Would you like to cover this block of instruction?
Sure.
Yeah, we're starting right from the top. Radios.
User entered your channel.
Just 1 second, gentlemen. Alright. So, just to begin, so you have something to look at as I'm explaining this. If you press Control Papa or Control P on your keyboard, it should bring up a nice little radio in the center of your screen. Give you a few seconds to make sure you have that up. Alright. So, each radio has several available programmable channels. Each channel contains a frequency, allowing soldiers to communicate with one another over their assigned networks. Frequencies are manually programmed in each channel, and each frequency represents a network which corresponds to your billet, such as TeamNet, SquadNet, PlatoonNet, so on and so forth. This means that each of those elements or teams has their own frequency assigned to their own network. For example, I'm in Havoc 1-2, which is first platoon, second squad, Alpha Company. Meaning my squad net is 112, and I'm Bravo team leader, which means my team net is 112.2. The battalion's SOI, or signal operating instructions, detail the assigned networks and frequencies, which can generally be found by clicking the squad's a squad's forum page or in their TeamSpeak description.
Sergeant, Private Rose has a question, Sergeant.
Go ahead.
I believe I may have grabbed the wrong radio because I'm only seeing the back of mine.
Raj, I believe. Can one of the instructors please grab a Dash 152 for him?
Stand by. That was Rose. Jesus Christ. There you go, Rose, in your backpack.
Before you go any further, does anyone else have the wrong radio?
I believe mine might be the wrong one. Also.
If you don't have a display with a box that basically has C1 and numbers and a keypad, then yes, you have the wrong one.
Okay, I do have the wrong one then.
Alright. Gamsa, did you grab a few? Thank you, Captain.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone else? I'm going to assume the rest of you have the correct radio then.
Yes, Sergeant.
Alright, so moving on. Do not enter these yet, even if you know how to, because we're going to go over it in a second. Now, OSUT, your assigned networks are going to be, and these may change based on the amount of people we have.
Yeah, go ahead and just use the 100, not 101. Disregard
Yeah,
what
Raj.
it says in there. Okay.
Yeah. Your squad net will be 100. So when we assign fire team leaders, they will be on squad. Alpha team, so 100.1, Bravo team 100.2, and then Charlie and Delta 0.3 and 0.4 respectively. Before any further, I will specify that fire team leaders are the only ones that are on SquadNet and TeamNet at the same time. When you learn how two IACs are assigned and everything, you have that channel set, but you are not listening to it. And we'll go over that again when we actually get to that. Alright, call signs have been established in the SOI and follow logical order. The call sign for Alpha Company 1st Battalion is Havoc. Therefore, all call signs within Alpha Company follow accordingly. For example, 1st Platoon, Alpha Company is Havoc 1. Naturally, it follows then that 1st Squad, 1st Platoon is Alpha Company is Havoc 1-1. And the same, each fire team within a squad is also given as designation Alpha and Bravo teams. Or if your weapons team, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. So Alpha fire team, 1st Squad, 1st Platoon, Alpha Company would be Havoc 1-1 Alpha. And within a fire team, formal call signs are not used, although a fire team leader may designate informal call signs such as numbering system, Team 1, Team 2, such and such. Alright, in OSUT, because we do not go beyond the squad level call signs, these in OSUT fall into the informal category of squad level call signs. In this case, the squad leader is known as actual, and each fire team leader is known by their fire team designation. Example, Alpha Bravo. When communicating with each other, squad and fire team leaders refer to one another using these call signs to distinguish between who is speaking. Alright. Moving on to the radio. Before I go into this, just want to let you all know. Do not press the transmit button on your radio by default caps lock to test if your radio has been properly configured. It'll annoy the shit out of me and everyone else here. You'll have an opportunity to test whether your radio is programmed properly later during our radio check phase. Alright. So first off, we're going to set the team net. So you already have your radio up, and I'll go over the controls real quick. The middle knob at the top of the radio. Left click will decrease volume, right click will increase volume. Use, of course, if you're in a firefight, you might want to increase the volume so you can hear. If you're just traveling, no firewall coming in, you might want to turn it down so they're not blaring in your ear. Alright, next, in the nice little green box to the left side of that, on the left side of that display, you're going to have your channel. C1, C2, C3, so on and so forth. To the right of that is your frequency indicator, should be a number point something. That is the frequency that that channel is set to. Next, you're going to see below that and to the right, you will see a CLR button. That is clear frequency. That clears whatever frequency you currently have in that display. So, right now, I want you all to hit that CLR button. And Sarn, do you want them all on the same team net for now, or?
Sarn Brewer, should keep them on the same team, or should we break them up?
Break them up.
All right, Raj.
5 points each row of seats.
Yep. So,
all the way.
If you're in the first row, when I say that you're going to enter 100.1. If you're in the second row, you're going to enter.
User disconnected from your channel.
Sorry, are we doing two teams then? Two big teams?
No, it's going to be each row as
okay, yeah,
Sarn
then
said. So
the way I
1
was
through
saying
4.
it. All right. So
Yeah.
second row, you're going to be 100.2. Third row, 100.3. Last row, 100.4. Whoever's standing in the back, consider yourself in the second row. So you'll be 100.2. Does everyone understand?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Raj. Alright, so using your numpad, you're going to enter whatever frequency I just gave you. Once you're done, once it's in that box, you're going to hit the E and T button to enter that frequency and set it as that channel. Alright, next, if you look on the keypad on the radio itself, in the bottom left you'll see the 0 button, or it looks like a circle with a opening in the middle. You're going to, that is your stereo settings. It controls whether you hear in the left, right, or both ears. I want you to hit it once so that you are hearing your team net through your left ear. Right, Khaki.
Sergeant, I can find the button.
Bottom left of the radio, next to the arrows.
Basically where you see 1 through 9, and then the 2 arrows, it's the one to the left of the left arrow.
Fine.
Got it?
Yes, Sergeant.
Alright. So, as an example real quick. So if you're on point 1, you should be able to hear me now. Did everyone on point 1 hear me through the radios?
Roger, Sergeant.
Ooh, that should be your first row.
Left ear only.
Awesome. Sorry, Lewis, are you doing another fire team? Or, sorry, Lewis, are you doing another fire team?
I'm trying to program a radio strictly to cover all this.
Alright, Raj.
If you can keep moving, updated.
Will do. Alright. So, next, we're going to move on to setting an alternate channel. So, before you actually set an alternate channel, you're going to have to go to the plus and minus on the right side of your radios and hit the plus button. That should bring up C2 and a random frequency in the display. So, just like before, you're going to hit the clear button to clear that frequency. And this will be the only time you'll ever be on SMET, but you're going to enter frequency 100, and then hit enter. Now, before you start talking on it or anything else, the left arrow, listen, I said left. If you don't know your right from your left, this is going to be very obvious very quickly. The left arrow at the bottom of the control area, call it that, is how you set an additional channel. So hit the left arrow once and it should become A2 instead of C2. I'll explain why I specified left in a second. But is everyone seeing A2 frequency 100?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Alright. Now I want you to set your stereo 0 button so that you are hearing SquadNet through your right ear.
Copy, Sergeant.
And then I want you to go back to the plus or minus and hit the minus so that you see C1 frequency 100 point whatever you were assigned. Alright. Sergeant Beard, I believe you were on frequency 100. Could you please give them a check? Or
I'm all set up, by the way, Sergeant Caldwell.
Alright,
Ready to
Roger,
go.
Sergeant Lewis. So if you're on 100, make sure they can all hear you.
Call signs, this is Havoc 1-2 on freak 100. Out.
Did you all hear Sergeant Lewis?
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Aye, Sergeant.
Right ear only.
I should be honest, because if you don't get this figured out now, it's going to hurt you later. Alright.
In fact, if you'd like me to check Bravo, Charlie, Delta, I could do that now as well, Sergeant.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Sergeant.
All call signs on freak 100.2. This is Havoc 1-2.
So Privates Warren, Landry, Khaki, and whoever, Jeremiah? Sorry.
Yes, Sergeant. I did hear it.
Affirm.
All of you should have heard Sergeant Lewis then through your radio.
Roger, Sergeant.
Hello?
Not a sir, remember, Sergeant. Sergeant, let's go ahead with point 3.
All call signs on frequency 100.3. This is Havoc 1-2. Out.
And Harlan, Ramirez, Rose, Friday.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Aye, Sergeant.
Raj. And point 4, Sergeant, if you please.
All call signs on freak 100.4. This is Havoc 1-2. Out.
And Cabildo, Red, Wrights, Wesley,
Yes,
and
Sergeant.
Williams.
Roger, sir.
Yes, Sergeant.
Amazing. Alright, moving on.
Somebody may have their caps lock keybound to their direct, because I just heard somebody talking both.
Try Khaki.
Sergeant, can we make a test again on that 100?
Sergeant Beard, if you please. Or, Sergeant Lewis, I'm sorry. I saw he was on 100, so I keep saying that. Sergeant Lewis, will you please do 100 now?
Sergeant Beard sounded pretty good on that one. You want to keep going, Sergeant Beard? I was liking the sound of that.
All call signs, this is Havoc 3-3 and 100 out.
Did you hear that, Private Guy?
Yes, Sergeant.
Alright, Raj. Okay, now before we go any further, I will specify that the right arrow is a button that you will never hit, with one exception. And we'll go over that on day 3, so don't worry about it now. Just know that when you are on the ground and on boots on ground, you will not hit that right arrow. That's because that controls whether you are what you are receiving is going through your speakers, which means if I were to talk on 100 and you're on your speakers, everyone in this room, even if they weren't on 100, would hear me. I don't need to explain, I think, how annoying that can be, especially since feedback is a thing. So never hit that. It'll become very obvious if you do hit that, because we'll say something and we'll hear it everywhere. Alright, moving on to radio procedures and prowords. So, the formal radio procedures I'm going to cover are typically needed and used at platoon level and higher. However, they are also often used on SquadNet to assist leaders with coordinating. At the teamnet level, these are not often used except with radio checks, although these get informal as well as you move into the actual unit. Now, notice I said as you get into the actual unit. While you're doing radio checks in OSUT, they will be on point and by the book. Everyone needs to know and be comfortable with radio procedures and prowords, however, because the chances are, even if you're a brand new member of your fire team, it's a possibility that you could be called on to lead it based on what happens in and out. Alright, so phonetic numbers. You're going to say numbers the same on the radio as you do in talking, with 3 exceptions. These are 3, 5, and 9. 3 on the radio should sound like tree, meaning a tree in the forest. 5 should sound like fife, as in fife and drum corps. 9 should sound like niner. You're basically just adding an R on the end. So niner, fife, tree, those are the 3 numbers that will sound different. Next is the phonetic alphabet. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie.
Shipshock had a question, sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's not that important, but I was just going to ask why that is the case with those numbers.
Most of the cases is that it would sound those numbers sound too much like other things we would say, or we just want to specify that we're saying the number instead of something else.
I can add to that, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Sergeant.
So we can cover this topic here. Combat brevity and efficiency was what comes to mind based on my experience. When you're on a net, you're listening to multiple frequencies and so forth, as you'll come to find here as we progress. Clear and concise communication that is preferably delivered once is the most combat effective way to go about it. So rather than try to get your 5s and your 6s and 3s and stuff confused, the Army's come up with a way, thanks to 250 years of combat testing, to ensure, hopefully, the first time you send that traffic doesn't need to be said again. As you were, Sergeant.
Yes. The less you need to say again, the better.
Thank you, Sergeants.
Alright. So, moving on. As I was saying, phonetic alphabet, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, etc., etc., etc. Do you need me to go through the entire phonetic alphabet? Or there is always Google. We're going to go with the Google option, because I don't feel like going through all 26 letters.
ArmyStudyGuide.com is a good resource as well for all this.
Right, roger that. Alright, so, radio procedures and prowords, what this section's all about. These are basically brevity, and for those of you that don't know, brevity is a way of saying something on the radio that shortens it so that instead of like saying a 5-minute sentence on the radio, you're saying a 1-minute or 30-second sentence. So, first pro word, basic, right off the bat, is you, this is me. Now, you and me are not actually part of that pro word. This is the thing. So, it establishes a binary control of a net. Once a response from the receiving party is sent, the net now belongs to the 2 parties speaking. The one who established the connection and the one who responded. So, for example, as I said, I'm 1-2 Bravo fire team leader. My squad leader, if you call me, would say, Bravo, this is actual. He's basically telling me that he wants to talk to me and he's reserving the net for our use. Alright, next is over. Basically, you use this as a period. You say it when you're done transmitting your message and require a response. Now, when you say over, the net is still under that binary control, meaning no one else should be talking on that unless they have an emergency, which I'll get to in a little bit. So, as I said, actual calls me, and he would, like, the full thing would say, Bravo, this is actual, over. Meaning he wants to talk to me, period. End of transmission, it's my turn to talk. Now, next is out. Same thing as over, well, not same thing, but you're also using as a period, but unlike over, you are ending the entire conversation. So you're done transmitting your message, and you do not require a response. And the net is no longer under that binary control, so other people can talk. Now, a few things with these, you will never use over and out together in the same transmission. That is not a real thing. It's made up Hollywood fantasy. So if I ever hear you, and especially some of the other instructors hear you say such and such message over and out, you will be jumped on. Because they mean completely different things. Now, do not forget to use over or out when transmitting. Because that basically lets your other person know whether they can talk, or the entire net know whether they can start a new conversation. Now, remember I said how in an emergency, conversations can be interrupted. So, if you are not the one who initiated a transmission that is currently being conducted, do not interrupt it until you say out, or until you hear out rather. But if it is an emergency, you can say the pro word or pro phrase, break, break, break. This basically means that you have something that cannot wait until that conversation is over. Like, such as, hey, there's a tank 5 meters from me. That would be a case to say break, break, break. Now, if that tank is freaking 100 meters away, or 200 meters away, then no, it's not a freaking break, break, break. It's, hey, there's a tank out there.
Well, I don't know. I would probably call break.
Yeah,
I would say
that was a bad distance example.
Like
let's,
a click away. A click
let's
away.
push that.
Not worth it.
Let's push that 100, 200 to like 700, 800.
Yeah.
But you get my point. And as I said, break, 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 the next pro word I want to bring up is just one break. Now, unlike break, 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 when you just say break, you're using it in the middle of a transmission, and you use it sort of like a comma, or a semicolon. Because you use this when your message is long, and you need to pause, take a quick breath, or you're separating subjects or ideas, or updates. So, again, if my squad leader called me, he would say, Bravo, this is actual break. Basically taking a break, or a breath, so you can say the rest of the message.
That's once we've established a simple Bravo, this is actual over, and he responds, then you would get into that.
Yes, correct. Alright, so next is wait.
Kaki, or Kate, how do you pronounce that? I'm sorry.
Khaki.
Khaki.
Alright, Khaki, go ahead.
My question, do we have a document on this? Just like the loadout?
Again, this is all available through any public reference and follows standard U.S. Army protocol. So ArmyStudyGuide.com would work, or simply Google prowords, U.S. Army, and all this information's out there.
And also, I believe Sergeant Louisdale will be taking notes, so you should have your own source.
That as well. Thank you, Sergeant.
Alright, so moving on. Next word or phrase is wait over. So, again, squad leader calls me, says, Bravo, this is actual over. If I say wait over in response, that basically means, give me a second. Give me 30 seconds to a minute. I'm busy. I'm talking to somebody on TeamNet that needs my attention. I'll be back to you in a second. Now notice I said wait over, meaning I'm going to come back. And that maintains control of the network for our use. Now its brother is wait out. This means that you need longer than a minute or two to respond, and it clears the net, or it clears your use of the net so other people can talk. Wait out you could use maybe if you were in a prolonged firefight where you're needing to control your team for that amount of time. That's really the only thing I can think of situation. Alright. Next we're moving into the other, or what I like to call dynamic duos that always get mixed up. First word, or the next pro word that we're going to cover is Roger. It means, Roger means that you have received the transmission and understand it. And before I go too deep into that, I'm going to move on to the next pro word just so I can explain the difference. The next one is Wilco, which means you have received the last transmission, understand it, and will comply. You never use these two together because they mean two different things. Roger means that you are just understanding what you're being given, so if you're being given information, you will say Roger. Wilco means you are receiving an order and will comply. So if I'm given a movement order by my squad leader, I will say Wilco. If I'm being told, say, there's a tank 1,000 meters northwest of my position, I will say Roger.
Sergeant, we have two questions, Private Shipshock and Private Grimmail.
Alright, Shipshock, go ahead.
So we will never use copy or copy that?
No, you can use that.
We do use that. I don't cover it because copy is, I don't want to say self-explanatory, because nothing is, but copy basically just means coming in clear. We don't really use it
So it's just
usually. Sorry.
So it's just basically an alternative.
Yes.
Right. To Roger, basically.
Okay. Thank you, Sergeants.
And who was the other one? I'm sorry. Jamal. Jamal. Go ahead. I know you're back there. Get on yelling and just ask me.
To change your voice projection, it's left control tab by default.
Alright, what's the question?
He's not keying up.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
go ahead.
Sorry, spell Wilco for me?
Say again?
Wilco. Is it spelled W-I-L-C-O?
Yes. Whiskey.
Yes.
India. Lima. Charlie. Oscar.
By the way, wisdom has come down from higher that all these references are available in the forum, the OSUT and recruit forums. So you should have reference to or access to the student reference documents that go along with this and these things there.
Copy, Sergeant. I've just been taking notes, so I'm actively listening.
Outstanding.
Alright, so where was I? Okay, so as I said, you'll never say those two together again because they mean different things. And I think I pretty much defined what each of them means pretty well. Alright, so move on.
Oh, let me just say one thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order for Wilco. This comes from, I guess, a little more of an NCO perspective where I made Wilco Sergeant Caldwell, and it's not an order, but we're teammates, right? So if we're passing information back and forth to each other, and he's saying I need to my left or something like that, I will Wilco back to him so he knows the job's going to get done.
Raj.
There was another question there. Who was that?
Sergeant, this is Vincent. With Wilco, is it used as in Wilco out or Wilco over, or is it just simply Wilco?
No, you will always say out over after you transmit.
Thank you, Sergeant.
So, yeah, if I'm getting a simple order, then yeah, I can say Wilco out. But normally it'll be a little bit more. It's okay, sit back down.
Sorry about that, Sergeant. I don't know what happened. Oh, we have the whole class. Okay.
Yeah, Rush. It just happens when someone disconnects. So.
You'll probably hear that day two if you're in a 360-degree security posture. And under sit reps, like I'll be calling to hire. Since I initiated the transaction or the transmission, I'm sorry, do a lot of business right the last few days. I've initiated the transaction, the transmission to hire. But part of that transmission is I'm waiting further from hire. Hire comes back, gives me those orders. Then I may go Wilco out.
User
Typically it's
left
going to
your
be
channel.
Wilco over though if the higher echelons initiated that transmission. All kinds of craziness going on out there.
Private Williams, can you sit back now? Damn, I thought we had somebody that was not here for a second. That's amazing.
That's good.
Alright. So.
Well, then, who's this big Cabito? Oh, what?
Alright, you know what? Let's pay attention. I'm gonna move on so we're not wasting time.
Yeah, Sergeant.
So, next word. This one's important. So, if you're taking notes, put a little star next to it so you never forget this. Say again. Means I did not receive or understand your last transmission. Retransmit all of your information. Or you can use this with all after or all before so-and-so. So, for example, I get a transmission from the squad leader. It's complete garbage quality. I can't hear it. I'll say again. Or if I hear him say, take your squad bearing, and then I lose nothing, or I can't hear anything, I can say again, all after bearing, meaning he will repeat or say again all that message. I'll explain why I just messed up there in a second. He will say again everything after the word bearing. Now, I just looked up. You will not substitute the word say again for repeat. Repeat is a specific pro word to call for fire missions. Specifically, fire missions that have already been executed and
I
are.
think we're about to get. I think we should all hit the deck right now, Sergeant.
I hope not, because that was my error.
Well, at least you called it out.
Yeah, apologies. I use it in day-to-day life, so. But anyway, yes. So you will never say repeat on the radio, or just don't use it in everyday life in the unit, because it gets you into a bad habit. And if you say it during, let me just put this directly. If you say it during training, bad things will happen to you. If you say it during once you actually get into the unit in an operation, worse things will happen to you. Does everyone understand that?
Roger.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant. I'm going to put it to you guys plainly. If I hear repeat said on the goddamn radio while you are in training, you are going to have an 86mm mortar dropped on your nutsack. Does everybody understand this?
Understood, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant. Carry on, Sergeant.
Thank you, Sergeant. Again, my apologies. But so because,
by the way, the same goes for red smoke. Might want to take note of that.
Yes, we'll get to that in a little bit. But so just because it's so important, real quick, any questions on the use of say again? Nope. Awesome. All right. So next is we'll finish this out with 5 quick ones. Read back. Read back is basically used when you are sending a message, and to make sure that the person getting it heard you, you're going to have them read back everything you just sent. So, I'm sending a message to squad leader, blah 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 blah, read back, over, or out. Or, no, you would not use out, I'm sorry, you would use over. And then they would say, Bravo, this is actual, read back, I read back the entire message, Cal copy, over. And then I would finish it and go out, or within the conversation, hopefully, assuming that everything is understood. So, next, correction means you made an error in your transmission, and everything after the word correction will be the actual correction to what you just said wrong. Alright, next, another very popular and used one, interrogative. You're requesting a confirmation or question, or you have a question. So, using that my beloved example again, we'll say, actual, this is Bravo, interrogative, over, meaning I'm asking, or I'm telling them I have a question. Or, you can say, actual, this is Bravo, interrogative, and then you can say the question, and then over. There are times. Go ahead.
Sorry, Sergeant. Can you type that down there so I can write it down? I'm French and not really good at spelling.
The word, yes.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Go continue. I'll do that for you, Sergeant.
All right, Raj. Thank you, Sergeant. All right, next is correct. This is used when you're being, what's the word I'm looking for? When you basically say interrogative as asking verification. So if I asked my squad leader, actual, this is Bravo, are there any enemies in grid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Or there are enemies in grid 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, question mark, or whatever. He will say either Bravo, this is actual, correct, over, or going on to the next word, actual, this is Bravo, or Bravo, this is actual, wrong. And then if you use wrong, you will say the correct information.
Yeah, it correlates also with read back and correction. So
Correct.
if
That's
you
correct.
read back or you call correction, then a good response is correct or wrong. That way, everyone's on the same page.
Right. Just remember with wrong, you don't just say wrong over, because that does nothing for anybody. You will say wrong and what the correct information is, and then end your transmission.
Right, like wrong, say again.
Yes.
That's kind of the way you want to use it.
Yes,
Or
correct. Thank you,
wrong,
sir.
correction, whatever.
Alright, and I overtake cover break. So we will move into radio check procedures, and Sergeant Lewis, did you want to split them up for this?
Yeah, I've heard with hire we're gonna split each team apart for this, and each team will be given cadre. So class, if I may start, I'll take it from here for the moment.
Go ahead, Sergeant.
Thank you. Class, on your feet. You want to scroll wheel, it hits it. Stand up. You don't know. All right. On my command, what we're going to do is by row, front to back, file out to the outside there, and you'll be met by an instructor who's going to take you through the next portion of the class. Class, fall out. By row. So, good job.
Rose, holster your weapon.
Alright, first four with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And put your frickin' covers on. Alright, so the benefit of this will be alpha team. So follow me.
Well, there keep walking then.
Sarmbir, you want to take a group?
Paper.
Alright, so just line up with me.
Score I have will be Bravo crosses Alpha.
Alright, so
I'll have him grab some soldiers here.
going into this. Alright, so with radio checks,
It'll be Charlie.
soldiers set their radios to proper channels and frequencies based on the SOI, as I said. It's completely based on where you're assigned and what team you're in. Alright, so for the duration of OSUT, as like I said, once you're out of OSUT, it becomes a bit more relaxed. For OSUT, you'll follow the procedure I'm giving you in its entirety.
Starting to believe these three need someone. Where are you going?
So,
Hey, firm.
going into this,
Oh, your mic may not be working again, Sergeant Turnbull.
you're always going to ensure
Stick with Sergeant Turnbull, Kevin.
that you include the frequency you're conducting the check on. If you
Caputo,
don't,
you need to get your cover
you
back
may
on.
confuse others on your net, or if you're on more than one net, the confusion just compounds itself. So for example, as a fire team leader, I'm on squad net and fire team net. If I just say radio check over,
Radios reset.
and then they see them to Charlie, I don't even know, or they don't know what
I need one of
frequency
you
I
to
was
come
on.
with me, Reese, or Rose,
And
I'm sorry, follow me.
if I go out like that, and I'm trying to send messages to squad leader on team net, then everything's Tango uniform. It's done. Alright, so the fire team leader, who for
Yes,
this
we're doing
demonstration
radio
will
checks.
be
Proper formatting radio checks.
Sir, Sergeant.
Private Stevens.
I can still hear Lewis.
Yes, Sergeant.
You will be Alpha.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yeah, I can still hear Sergeant Lewis for some reason.
And make
He's
sure
talking
you're on
over you.
whispering or normal for this.
I'm on whispering, sir.
Yeah, that's good. I had to change because I realized I was on yelling for whispering. Alright. So, the fire team leader conducts a radio check with each member of his team, and you're going to be doing this 3 times. So, it goes this way. So, for example, you will say Private Shipshot. This is Alpha. Radio check frequency 100.1 over. And then Private Ship Shock is going to come back and say, Alpha, this is Private Ship Shock. Read you Lima Charlie, or read you 5x5, or whatever. No, I'll explain that in a second. Read you 5x5 over. Now, just so y'all know, I don't know if you're military or have any other fixtures. Lima Charlie means loud and clear. Now, 5x5 also means loud and clear because that is a scale. So 5 out of 5 is crystal clear, understand you, all good. 1 out of 5 means I'm not understanding a word you're saying. And everything in between is up to your interpretation. So if they're staticky but you can still hear them, you might say 3 or 4 out of 5. You understand?
Roger, Sergeant.
Comments,
Go ahead.
if I may.
Go ahead.
As far as I was always understood, those two 5s are separate numbers. The first is strength of signal, and the second is clarity of message. So, as far as I was always led to believe, 1x5 would be a choppy or breaking up message, but the second 5 would be that you still got the gist of the message.
In real life, you are completely correct. However, because we know and there's no variation of strength and signal on this, like all your radios, you can look at them and they tell you exactly how far the distance is, 5 kilometers. So when we use 5x5, we're just giving them a scale of whether we understand them or not.
Oh, sorry.
But yes, in real life, yes, you're completely correct. And finally, the third stage is Alpha will go back and close it out saying, Alpha, or I'm sorry. So in the example of Private Ship Shock, this is Alpha, solid copy, out. And I can't remember if it was one of you that brought a copy earlier, but
That was me, Sergeant.
yes. So this is one of those times when you use solid copy instead of Roger, just because it tells them what you're doing more if you're copying what they're saying, or you're copying what. Go ahead.
Could you just could you repeat the last instruction before you as you said copy? You weren't coming in clear from my mic for a little bit.
All right, just remember, don't use that R word. Try saying say again all you can. Trust me.
Oh, did I? Okay, I didn't realize I said it.
Yeah, see.
Could you say the last or the first part again?
The third line for that.
I think so.
Tell you what, I'll just go through all 3 lines again.
Thank you, Sergeant.
So, using you as an example again. Private Ship Shock, this is Alpha, radio check, frequency 100.1, or whatever frequency you're on, over. And Team Leader, you will go, Alpha, this is Private Ship Shock, read you 5x5, or Lima Charlie, over. And then lastly, Alpha will come back and say, Private Ship Shock, this is Alpha, solid copy, out. So everyone get it?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Sergeant.
Alright then, Private Stevens, radio check your team.
Yes, sir. Private Ship Shock, this is Alpha, radio check, frequency 100.1, over.
This is Private Trofeo, radio check on frequency.
I already forgot.
You respond, Alpha, this is Ship Shock.
Read you Lima
5x5
Charlie.
or loud and clear on 100.1, over.
You don't need to put the frequency in the second part.
Oh. Thank you. Sorry.
But, and remember put your rank for this, for OSUT. So, remember that first pro word. I'll walk you through it, Ship Shock, so go ahead, start it.
You want me to start it?
Yep, because he called you, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Alpha, this is Ship Shock. I read Lima Charlie. Frequency 100.1.
No, Sergeant.
So it's going to be Alpha. This is private ship shock. Read you again. You can use the number system
Over where?
or Lima Charlie. Over.
Roger,
You
Sergeant.
don't need to put the Now you can if you're doing it, you can. Great. So Private Stevens, just restart that.
Yes, sir. Private ship shock. This is Alpha. Radio check frequency 100.1. Over.
Alpha, this is Private Ship Shock. I read Lima Charlie.
You
What'd
end
you
with
forget?
over. Ship.
I went.
Everything else is great.
I forgot to say over.
Yep. So
Roger.
we'll go on as if you said it, but just remember from now on, right?
Yes, Sergeant. Understood.
Alright, Private Stevens, close it out.
Solid copy out.
Don't forget this is.
This is Alpha. Solid copy out.
Remember for OSUT, you're saying that every time. You're saying, so for that last part, you just said private ship shock. This is Alpha. Solid copy out. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Alright, continue down the line.
Private lead. This is Alpha. Radio check frequency 100.1. Over.
Alpha, this is lead. I read you loud and clear. Over.
Private lead. This is Alpha. Solid copy out. Private Holbert.
Oh, sorry. Private Lead, are you military in real life?
Sergeant. Prior service.
Alright, cool. And I realize we're not told to use ranks on the radio. But for this, try to remember to.
Copy that. Can do.
At least for OSUT. Once you're in, yeah, you'll
like restart or
nope,
carry
you're
on?
good. Small
Copy that,
error.
Sergeant.
I'm not gonna interrupt it. Private Stevens, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yes, sir. Private Holbert. This is Alpha. Radio check frequency 100.1. Over.
Copy that. Alpha. Radio check 100.1. I'm sorry.
Did he catch you off guard, or did you forget?
Yeah, I was writing down.
Alright, I'll give it one more try, and then I'm gonna correct it. So, you got one more chance. Private Stevens, go.
Private Holbert. This is Alpha. Radio check frequency 100.1. Over.
Copy. Reading
Alright,
that.
stop. Alright, remember you're gonna start every transmission of yours with this is. So, he calls you, you say, Alpha, this is Private Holbert. Read you, Lima Charlie, or the number system, over. Alright, got it?
Got it.
Alright, go. Private Stevens.
Private Holbert. This is Alpha. Radio check frequency 100.1. Over.
Alpha, this is.
Alpha, this is Private Holbert. Reading you loud, clear.
Don't forget that period.
Break.
No. Over.
Over.
There you go.
I know I messed up.
Private Holbert. This is Alpha. Solid copy out.
Alright. Who here thinks that all those were perfect? Good. Alright, work on this. I'm not gonna hold this up any longer because everybody else is waiting for us. So go back and fall into formation.
Yes, Sergeant.
But you had it mostly right, alright? Just fine tune what I told you.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Sergeant.
Yes,
Yes,
Sergeant.